friends, I know we are weary, and I know that we're tired. And I personally, myself, I've been a little more tired during the day than usual from my sleep, which is a little offset, which is okay. It is what it is. I've been trying to throw the word, just trying to hit the word of Yahweh over the head of these people because I don't know why they err so much. And I understand some have been given prophecy. Some have been given visions and dreams. Some are given wisdom. Others are given the power of healing. But I feel like a lot have been interpreting their own dreams and not using scripture to really come across the timelines. There's something important here. This is why since September 23rd, 24th, I've been on this. I've been glued on this, my friends. I've been glued just trying to see what's going on. And so I want to start this study. Let's understand the calendar that was given to Enoch. Let's understand this calendar, my friends, because many are confused because they are using the Talmudic calendar, they are using the Julian calendar, or they're using some kind of other, I don't know what other calendars out there, but currently the civil calendar we use today is the Gregorian calendar. And then the calendar of Yahweh is rooted in the heavens. There is no other calendar. Julius Caesar, that calendar was in 45 BC. His word is ancient before that time. The Talmudic calendar, this is from the Babylonians. When the Israelites mingled with the Babylonians at the destruction of the first temple. Let's read Enoch, my friends. Let's read. And in its waning on the first day, the moon is the only luminary, my friends, that wanes on the first day, okay? The only luminary that wanes. And in its waning on the first day, it decreases to 14 parts of its light, and on the second to 13 parts, and on the third to 12 parts, and on the fourth to 11 parts, and on the fifth to 10 parts, and on the sixth to 9 parts, and on the seventh to 8 parts, and on the eighth to 7 parts, and on the ninth to 6 parts, and on the 10th to 5 parts, and on the 11th to 4 parts, and on the 12th to 3, and on the 13th to 2, and on the 14th to half of a 7th part. And all the light that remains from the total disappears on the 15th day. The 15th day, my friends. All its light disappears and it wanes on the first day. However, we are told today that the moon waxes on the first day, my friends. This is being taught by the rabbis today and from the rabbis of the times of old. Because this text right here, the Talmud, is also ancient. It doesn't predate Yahweh's calendar that is rooted within the heavens, that he created the sun and the moon and the stars, the heavens that were created on the fourth day. This is something created from man, man's own wicked interpretation from the adversary. And they say that the moon is impregnated. Impregnated, my friends, by the witnesses within a court. Where is this in scripture? Where is this in the book of Jasher or in the book of Enoch or other texts? Just the Tanakh. Where is it in Torah? Where is it within the Tanakh? Where is it within the words of our Hamashiach? This is the Talmud. The very same text that says that our Hamashiach is within Sheol, burning. Do you understand this? Do not use the Talmud. It's a filthy book. Let's watch this video, my friends, of what Sister Helengwe has to say about the calendar. Does her vision correlate to what is given to Enoch? Let's listen.
Then he said, let's look at the month. These are the days of the month. So he says to me, this is how a month look like. And I'm saying, but where are the numbers? Because you know how our calendar is, and it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, up to day dating. There were no numbers in that calendar that was just zooming in on the months. What was there were these circles, I'll call them circles because at first when I saw them, to me they were circles, okay? So these circles, they will differ from day to day, and they will start having these dark shadings. And I'm like, where are the numbers? Why these circles? And then he says, this is the moon. And then he says, we see the date according to the moon. And with the month that he showed me, it had these full moons, and to me it looked like it's the same moon through maybe the first maybe 4 days or up to 6 days like that. But then, as I was saying, but it looks the same. How do you identify which day it is? And he was like, no, it doesn't look the same. As much as it still looks like it's a full moon, but it doesn't look the same. Okay? And then you'll see that it's starting to shade like on the side.
So now with this new knowledge, this wisdom, my friends, of the calendar rooted within the heavens, we can continue our journey with the dreams and the visions. Because without wisdom, the dreams and the visions are only part of the picture. When September 23rd and the 24th passed, I was honestly surprised. I really thought that was the day. I said, something is off here. There's no way all these people came forward with dreams and visions and testimonies. And I even have my own testimonies, physical testimony. I'm talking about physical proof of things that are just not, it's not a coincidence. I'll post this within another video sometime, but 923, 924, it was there. We knew it, but it didn't happen. So I bless Yahweh because this shaking of the church really opened my eyes, and I realized I was following this Talmudic calendar from the doctrine of devils, and I rebuked myself. I really thought all these years I was following his feast days. I really did, but I was ignorant, and now I know better. Regardless of this, we know now, my friends, that October 7th was the true Feast of Trumpets, Yom Teruah, October 7th, which was also the first day of Noah's new year, Rosh Hashanah. What does Yahushua tell us about the generation of the end? Matthew 24:37. But as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. I studied this, my friends. I said there has to be something there with Noah. And what came out of this study was Genesis 7:11, the timeline for Noah's flood, as well as Enoch's calendar. At the same time, many were going over to the Julian calendar, but I was saying in my head, why are you looking at the Julian calendar? This is only 45 BC. Yahweh's calendar is ancient. Before this, how did the Israelites before Julius Caesar, how did they keep the feast days? Were they using the Julius calendar as well? They were using the calendar rooted within the heavens. Let's read here Genesis 7:11. In the 600th year of Noah's life, in the second month, the 17th day of the month, 17th day of the month, the same day were all the fountains of the great deep broken up, and the windows of heaven were opened. So, in the second month, the 17th day of this second month, the floodwaters fell upon the earth, my friends. We have to keep in mind that Noah, his timeline is before the Exodus. Why do I say this? Because many will get confused and say, hey, isn't the second month within April and May? Yes, this is the second month after the Exodus. We are ordained to keep the months according to this calendar, but we have to understand that before the Exodus, before Moses, the Passover, the months started at the seventh moon, which is October 7th, 2025, this year. And the other reason I mention this is because the Yehudi today are wrong in keeping Rosh Hashanah within the old calendar. The new, I don't understand why they do not listen. Why do they not read the Torah? They spend all their lives studying the Torah, the Tanakh, and it states that the first month is within the Passover, yet they practice Rosh Hashanah on the seventh moon, or the crescent, and not even the moon. It's. I'm telling you, my friends, stay away from the lies of the rabbis. This is why Yahushua rebuked them, denounced them in their ways. Understanding now, my friends, that the seventh moon was Noah's first moon in his time, we can now calculate 30 days for a month and the 17th day according to Genesis 7:11. So let's calculate this year, the 10th, October 7th, and we add the 30 plus 17, which is 47, and we land on November 23rd, 2025. This is why November 23rd is Bull 17. Now, why do I say Bull? Because Bull here in 1 Kings chapter 6:38, in the month of Bull, which is the 8th month, this is now the 8th moon, which would have been Noah's second moon. So the 8th moon is called the Bull. However, the Yehudi today, they call it Sheshvan, according to the Babylonian Talmud. But this month, according to scripture, is called Bull, the 17th day of Bull. Now, why is this important? Because November, my friends, Novem is 9 in Latin. Novem is 9. And Joshua was given the 23rd and the 24th. Well, here is the 23rd on our current civil calendar. But this is Bull 17 when the floodwaters fell upon the earth, according to scripture. So we have something that coincides with what Joshua was given, as well as what Yahushua stated, that as in the days of Noah were, so shall the coming of the Son of Man be. Novem 23, 9, 23, Bull 17, which is a Sunday, the first day of the week, the very same day of the week that Yahushua was risen from the grave. Now I want to add a vision and a dream presented by our sister Rapture Cat, which I feel is, there's something here important, because another brother watching, he has mentioned Kislev, which is the ninth moon. Kislev is the Talmudic name for the ninth moon. But he mentioned that on the ninth moon and the 11th day of the ninth moon, this is the calendar rooted in the heavens now, we land on December 14th of our current calendar. And the reason why he's watching 9/11 is because there's a lot of connections there. There is a connection that he has been finding mathematically that is, I don't see it as a coincidence. There's nothing in scripture that is coincidence. It's just there's something there, and everything just seems to correlate with November 23rd, the 21 days, and 9/11, which is December 14th. So please watch. It's just a few minutes of this, and I'll continue.
So the first thing he saw was that um, there would appear above the earth a strange object that would be large and spherical, and it had these seams in it, like a football, um, and basically, and it would have the color of copper or bronze. And basically, when this thing appears, he doesn't say how big it would be. He just says that when it appears, um, it will be on every TV around the world. So, I mean, you can imagine, like, if something like that appeared in the sky, obviously every single news station would be out there, like they'd send teams, and everybody would be glued to this thing. Like, what is it? Why is it in the air? Like, obviously everyone's like probably going to think it's aliens. Um, and everybody's going to be just like mesmerized by this thing in the air that nobody knows what it is. And I mean, who knows where it could be? Maybe it's in the middle of the ocean. Maybe it could be in a country. But everybody basically is going to be like, kind of like when the Twin Towers fell. Like everybody was just like glued to their TVs, like could not believe what was happening, right? But he says everybody's going to be glued to their TVs, but don't you. He says the minute you see this, run to the closest food store, get enough canned food and bottled water for about 3 weeks. Because between 1 day after this object is seen in the world, there will be a massive collision on the sun's surface. Now this is interesting because he doesn't, he saw this in the vision, but if this happened in real life, people won't know that that's what happened. They won't see, and he says it's going to happen on our blind side. We can't see it coming. It's going to be a huge twin asteroid hitting the sun in a spot that releases a major solar storm that knocks out all of Earth's electricity all over the world. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But when the electricity is off over 3 weeks, within a few days, the whole world will start to go crazy with hunger because, you know, everybody usually has food for a day or two, right? But after 3 days, if the power is still not on, the banks and ATMs can't work without electricity, no gas pumps or food transportation or refrigeration, total darkness, right? I'm not going to say the next part out loud because it's kind of scary, but basically you can imagine what's going to happen in the big cities when nobody can call the police, when the police can't come help because there's no communications, no cell phones or telephones. There's going to be a lot of crime and horrible things that can happen as a result of that, in addition to hunger. But hunger just makes everything worse. Like, you know, we learned that from the French Revolution. So basically, breakdown in large cities. Millions will be behind locked doors, praying and begging for God's mercy. And he will answer millions of prayers. Millions will ask for forgiveness. The Lord and his saints will perform millions of miracles during these 3 weeks. And then after this, about 3 weeks of this happening, he says the rapture will happen. In the vision, he also goes over, he goes over how he actually sees the number 21 in the vision. Let's see, it's after, oh, I'm sorry, it wasn't in the same vision. It was the next day that he actually has this vision of the number 21. And he says, I don't know what it means. The day of the rapture, I don't know. He didn't even speculate that it would be the year. But fascinating that so many of us are believing that the rapture is this year.
And so why is this important here? There is a delay. We know this. And spiritually, I feel that this journey, the Exodus, did start on Yom Teruah, the seventh moon, the first day of the seventh moon. And so November 23rd, right? We land on November 23rd, and this vision, this dream, that our sister was explaining that the man saw 2021 and that there would be a 3-week delay, which is also 21 days, until our departure. So I calculated this. If we go over to the calculator from November 23rd, go here on the 23rd day, 21 days here, this lands us on December 14th, 9/11, which is the ninth moon and the 11th day, which is also the day that our brother from the channel New Moon Rapture has been watching with anticipation for a while now. So I will leave here this information with you. I'm not a prophet, nor do I regard myself as a prophet. I haven't received the visions or dreams. I just take the understanding of his word and I make the correlation. I see this from Joshua's 9:23, from the calendar rooted in the heavens, our calendar that we use today, and timelines that are given. This is very strange, I guess you could say. This is something that it's just not a coincidence. Why it lands from November 23rd, 21 days forward, it lands on 9/11. The same date that our brother has been watching is, I don't know. I don't know. We just need time to pass. We need time to pass and see. But keep watch. Remember, my friends, keep watch. We can also make another correlation from the 10th, right? The first moon of Noah's Day. And let's count the days from the 14th, and we have 68 days right here, not including the end date. And so if we include the end date, we have 69 days. Now this is the Strong's of the number 69 in Greek. To be sleepless, to keep awake, to watch. I'll leave this information with you all. And may Yahweh bless you all.